Coming up on this week's episode, we break down the crime of the week, which involves a former University of Alabama basketball player, a young lady who lost her life, and another friend involved. There is a twist. There were more people involved in this latest crime. Attorney John Robbins gives us the update. I'm Shelia Smoot. The Shelia Smoot Show starts right now. Welcome into the Shelia Smoot Show. I'm Shelia Smoot. Good to have you along today. And we got a lot in store for you. First of all, I know what you're wondering. Shelia Smoot is back on the air again? Yeah, you can catch me on several of your local TV stations. So that's what you are watching right now. So hello to everybody, and wake up, good morning, and all of that. Or if you're joining me in the evening, you know, with this whole social media thing, you could be joining me anywhere in the world. Like my mom looks at me from Michigan. Hi, Mom. I've always wanted to say that. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. Tell me you don't want to say that on television or radio. So thank you, CBS 42, for allowing me to share my information on this air. And also thank you, WAGG, for allowing me to always share with that audience. And thank you to the KISS family, 98.7. And I'm also in Greenville, South Carolina. Thanks to you. Hello, Mom. I'm just kidding. Folks, before I get into I want to get into avoiding identity theft very, very briefly. That's a pet peeve of mine, too. Identity theft can make it hard for you to get credit, a job, a place to live, or utilities, but you can reduce the risk of being hurt by identity theft. How can I protect my identity? Protect your personal information. It is very, very important that you do that. Protect your personal information. Now, that helps you protect your identity. Now, here's some things you can do at home. Keep your financial records, Social Security, and Medicare cards in a safe place. Shred papers that have your personal or medical information. Take mail out of your mailbox as soon as you can. People will go in your mailbox and they will take stuff. I have somebody dumpster dive. Go in your trash. Get you a shredder. Get you a shredder. All personal information. Get you a shredder. Get you a shredder. And also, make sure if you don't have a shredder, make sure you discard all of that. And you know where I'm going next? To the phone lines, and it is, our favorite guy, crime of the week. It is a Shelia Smoot, John Robbins, attorney at law, crime of the week. John, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Sheila. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. John, you know, you are not notorious in a bad way, but you're notorious for getting cases that have the ear of everyone, like the ear of everyone. And particularly the one we're talking about today is the situation of the group of young people, and I'm going to say it was a group of young people out having fun at in Tuscaloosa on the Strip, and a shooting occurs. One person is deceased, female, and also two young men are arrested. One a now former basketball player, Darius Miles, and the other is now your client, Mr. Davis. And then there are two other people involved that appear to be on the outside of this, one saying shooting back in self-defense. But it just really rocked the world of a lot of people who have no connection to the University of Alabama. The fact of the matter that, when you go to college, you send your kid to college, you think that's where you get better, not worse. You don't expect to have this. So you are one of the lawyers involved in this case. Tell me what your involvement is.
Well, my involvement is very simple. I represent Michael Davis, a 21-year-old young man who's got a clean criminal record. Was working in Tuscaloosa, specifically was working as one of the staffers at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and also at Coleman Coliseum. So he was not a student, but he was well known by the basketball players, obviously, because they'd been around them. He and Darius were longtime friends.
The basketball player was Darius Miles.
Yeah. They grew up together in Maryland. Darius' mother, I believe, and I'm not trying to speak out of turn.
Right.
I believe that this is true. Darius' mother moved Darius to the D.C. area, which is obviously not far from where he grew up, to play basketball at the high school level. And, from there, he was recruited by Alabama and came to Tuscaloosa. But that's Michael's connection to Tuscaloosa. They were roommates. He was well known around
the Strip, the town.
The sports facilities at the University of Alabama. He's not a bad guy. I can't really go into specifics.
The press ate him alive. All of just what you said.
Absolutely.
All of what you just said, John. None of that came out because it looked like he swooped down, hanging out, wise on campus. But in case he works at Bryant-Denny Stadium, had a job, had a roommate who was Darius Miles. But it appeared with the way the press, some press wrote it, that the guy was just thug life, hanging out. And why do you bring, because I was like, why you bring your friends down to college? He's not in there. That's why you got to go back to the source like you and straighten that part out. Because that didn't occur.
Sure. And the next big thing will be the preliminary hearing, which will be on February the 7th at 10 o'clock in the morning. A lot more will come out during that hearing, but obviously the issue, and I'm not speaking out of turn, but anybody who has any insight into the legal system, especially the criminal justice system, the critical issue that is going to be in this case is who shot first. That's all I can say. That's all I can say to that.
That's enough. Yeah. Who shot first? And John, and you and I have had these breakdown on cases. Certainly, you've been in cases involved in many, many cases where, the facts come out in the press and in the public, and then on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and it's not really the facts. One of the things I did notice about your client, Michael Lynn Davis, age 20 years old, working at Bryant-Denny Stadium, didn't know he was working. None of that came out. Everybody thought he's just hanging out, and and then there's another narrative that was put out by the other side. And I know you can't go into this case like that, but one of the things I noticed about your client, Michael Davis, I noticed that he said nothing. So that whole thing, you have the right to remain silent. He did that. Was that important to anybody?
Oh,
I'm going to just go generally here.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's cardinal rule number one. Cardinal rule number one.
Say nothing.
You get arrested, and it don't matter whether you did something, you didn't do something, you think it's unjust, you don't know what's going on. Keep your mouth closed.
Yeah.
Just keep your mouth closed. Seek the advice of a lawyer. Okay? And honestly, at that point, sometimes it's advantageous to talk, and sometimes it's not. But you need the experience, you need the advice, the wisdom of a lawyer who's been in the trenches, and to advise you properly. Okay, and so they're not going to keep you in jail. You can't be kept in jail. This is not Russia that they're going to put you away. We don't hear from you for months. That can't happen. Okay. There's procedures in place that if you're arrested, your people will know, and your people will be able to get you a lawyer. Your folks will be able to bond you out if bonds available. There's safeguards there. You do not have to speak and should not speak because it doesn't make things better. It generally makes things worse.
That is very good advice. Again, as Attorney John Robbins joining us, Crime of the Week, and you're welcome into the Shelia Smoot Show. And we are just vaguely talking about the University of Alabama basketball player Darius MIles is one of two suspects charged with capital murder at the university on campus, and 23-year-old Janae Harris of Birmingham was down there with a friend, a cousin, or definitely, and a boyfriend, and it just got out of hand. Apparently something went down, something went wrong, and one person is dead because of it.
And that's sad. And Ms. Harris, and we all, pray for her family, pray for her. That's unfortunate.
It's all unfortunate, John. And the unfortunate part is they're all in their 20s. Like, they're just starting.
Life barely started for them. And, you and I have talked about this.
We have.
Many times.
Many times.
Young ladies, young men, okay, know who you're hanging out with. Know who you're hanging out with, okay? Because you hang out with the wrong person or group of people, and things like this could happen.
Correct. And, John, on a college campus, and I was hanging out when I was at Michigan State University, but I was glad that it was just enclosed. I felt a little more comfortable, honestly, when there were people on the campus that were actually either working on campus or being on campus to go to school only, because there's a variety of things, because campuses do have young people who are not in school working, okay? Just the nature of the beast.
Right.
And then there are the locals, no disrespect, in Michigan State University in East Lansing, Michigan, it's very enclosed, very on the strip. Everybody, it's like hanging out. It feels safe. But then there were the Lansing locals, and God forbid if somebody came from Detroit. No disrespect, but you were trained to make sure that like minds think alike. So I was, I definitely hung out with students, or my Michigan State dance team squad. I was around athletes all my life. But I was at that age. I was a little fearful of somebody that said, "Oh yeah, what's your name? I'm from Lansing." I'm like, "Oh okay, well thank you. It's nice meeting you. Goodbye." I was like, I'm out. I'm deuces. Goodbye. Because I really did want to make it out of college. I really did want to please my parents. I really did want to better my life, and I thought education was the great equalizer, which I still do believe that. I did it. It was fearful. Nowadays, though, John, with this social media, Instagram, all of that, it's like the strip at any college is it's like a place for everybody young, and I disagree with that. Now, I just don't think that's just me.
Tuscaloosa is a college town, and and I am sure I didn't go to college there. My oldest daughter did, and she will tell you you could have so much fun as a college student. But if you're not careful, your fun can lead to trouble
quickly.
And the Strip is infamous for party life, and I do not, and I am not one that says we should get rid of the Strip.
I don't think you do that. That's not. You have to have that part of college because it teaches you other things.
Absolutely. College is not just learning learning book knowledge.
Right.
It's learning socially. It's learning how to be a responsible adult, both in the classroom, which hopefully leads to a very good and productive job that is rewarding to the person. That is rewarding to the person, and that should be your first goal: is find something that is rewarding to you, that you feel good about. The money will come, okay? Right. And also the learning how to interact with other people and to be socially responsible, and that is part of going to college. But you also, in this day and age now, where you and I didn't have this, is everybody's got a gun. What is this? Everybody's got a gun. I never saw a gun in college.
I didn't either. I never saw a gun in college, ever. I saw a lot of stuff, but I didn't see. I saw a lot of drinking in college. I saw a lot of people drinking. A lot of drinking. A lot of those kind of parties, but I didn't see a gun in college. Like nobody was. Everybody there that appeared to be wanting to do better, and because you had to get up to go to the class the next day. I mean, number one, and we have a test, number two. But at the end of the day, I didn't see that because I really was too busy having fun, and it was good fun. It was good fun. It was college fun. It was what's supposed to happen, whether you're going to a party, going to a football game. Just hanging out with your girlfriends, or just hanging out in the dorm, or going to somebody's first new apartment that their parents told them not to get, that part, or going to a party in my car where my dad told me don't have everybody in my car, and I did it anyway. It's part of a learning curve, especially when the guy brings your car back and it's wrecked. So, and your dad takes it away from you for your whole senior year. So you do learn a lot in college. Now, that was my lesson.
You do.
But I didn't see a gun. I didn't. And I'm glad. No. And, John, take me real quickly through, and briefly, as we wrap this segment up. Guys, again, Attorney John Robbins is representing one of the folks involved in the incident that occurred that cost someone their life. And, John, one of your statements was, my guy, and you said, my guy ain't the bad guy. I had that quote in my hand, my guy ain't the bad guy.
My guy ain't the bad guy.
That was the quote of the week for me.
My guy ain't the bad guy. And I'm going to go out and do my very best to show to the community, to everyone, that the bad guy was inside that white Jeep. That's where the bad guy is.
Okay. John, and last thing for parents who have to ever deal with this situation, and you must have talked to parents, what is the first thing you tell a parent who's in a situation they never thought their kid would be in, like this?
I don't. You know what? I don't know.
You don't.
I don't know what to say to a parent who loses a child, other than, that you have our condolences, you have
Certainly.
our thoughts and prayer. What can we do for you? But we can't understand that grief unless we personally experience it, and we personally don't want to experience it. Okay.
Right.
Because it's not natural. It's not natural.
It's not natural. I
bury
think.
your children. It's not natural to bury your children. The circle of life is your children bury you one day,
Right.
not the other way around. And so, we personally can't. We can appreciate the grief, and we can try to understand it, but we don't know what it feels like until
it happens.
Until hopefully we don't know what it feels like. So I am sure there's a group of parents. Unfortunately, that group is growing too large, that have experienced that sadness, that grief, that they could, as a group, comfort each other.
Let me segue.
They reach out to that. Yes.
Let me segue from the other side. You got a kid in jail on a capital murder charge. What about that parent? What does that parent?
That parent is grieving.
That parent's grieving too.
You got it. Yeah. That parent is grieving, and you got to tell them this is a long, drawn out process. It is, and it's going to be tough, and you cannot get on a roller coaster. Okay, and you can't let the media dictate how you feel about the case. The media is going to be the media. Okay, it's just like the parents of Annie and Michael Davis, the parents of Michael Davis. They're having a hard time grasping
their son being in this situation. And with that, John,
their son's in this situation, and all the kind of local support is around Darius. Well, you can't let that dictate. He was on the basketball team,
right?
Okay, and I try to explain to them, the only reason that this case has gotten the media attention is because of Darius being on the number 2 basketball team in the country. Okay. We're talking about the University of Alabama, which we're usually talking about Roll Tide in the sense of Nick Saban's football team.
But now you got this basketball
team, and it generates national interest.
Right.
Okay, that's why there's so much interest in it. But that's not going to decide the case. That's not going to dictate the case. Ignore it.
All right.
Okay?
Right.
Love your son. Okay, you love your son. There's people who love your son. We'll get to the bottom of it. It's going to be a long process. Okay.
All right, John. I'm going to have to wrap you up right there, and I think that was perfect. Thank you, John. I know this is going to be a tough one, but you have been in some interesting cases. We're going to keep an eye on this. Again, John Robbins is always on this show, has been for years. And, John, thank you so much. Good luck on that case, and we'll see you next week, okay?
Bye.
Thanks for joining me. Here is your consumer crime tip of the week about job and fraudulent check scams. Folks, they are out there. Scammers know that finding a job can be tough. To trick people looking for honest work, scammers advertise where real employers and job placement firms do. They also use spoofed emails to make you think that they are coming from a legitimate organization, person, or even a member of the family. They make upbeat promises about your chances of employment, and virtually all of them ask you to pay them for their services before you get the job. But the promise of a job isn't the same thing as a job. If you have to pay for that promise, it is likely a scam. In some of the reported incidents, the scammers sent spoofed emails to several students. The scammer went as far as sending the victims a check, which is fraudulent, via priority mail or a PDF via email. Then they ask the victim to deposit that check in their account and immediately start making purchases or sending money. There are many variations to this scam, but all end with the same ending. You deposit the check, send them the material or cash, and now you get a notice from your bank that the check you deposited was fraudulent. You are now out of the money that you sent them. You are charged a bank fee for the bounced check, and a negative report is on your credit. Remember, no legitimate company will ask you to pay for any material or certification before giving you the job or even starting a job. While we cannot prevent phishing, we can train ourselves to follow best practice guidelines and report suspicious activity. Now, do not give out personal information via email. Social engineering is the process of deceiving individuals into providing personal information to seemingly trusting agents who turn out to be malicious actors. Crime tip of the week. All right, you've been listening to the Shelia Smoot Show, Crime of the Week. John Robbins. Wow, that's going to be a doozy. We'll keep you updated. Again, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Shelia Smoot. Remember, don't be a sucker, be a consumer. Take care.